be engaged. It has to be engaged because if you look at human history, we can see so many things in the human condition that are changing. And we accidentally brought into the world a tulpa by the name of Dr. Heldor. And Dr. Heldor has been eerily accurate in his predictions, and many people who listen to this program have been waiting for the moment where we're contacting Heldor again. A little something to think about. You know, with Dr. Heldor on the board tonight, when we contact him, we need to understand that what he has to say a lot of the time is in metaphor. What he has to say is that he sees change, he sees, you know, because everything now seems to have a due date, which raises suspicion and paranoia. I was reading a little bit of Alvin Toffler in Future Shock, the book that he wrote in 1970. And he predicted much of the problems that have come to pass due to the vast acceleration in the pace of change. And these changes have not just been technological, but social in nature, and have stressed the very fabric of human society near to the breaking point on occasion. As a result, we now live in an increasingly fragmented world where human experience and perception is perhaps more diverse than it's ever been. So while diversity is generally a good thing, extremes and myriad of deviations can cause a loss of continuity, cohesion, and the destruction of what would be called a homogeneous society. So there was a concept that I tried to introduce a while back, but I couldn't think of the name. I eventually remembered it's something called the Overton window. What the Overton window is, it was developed by the late Joseph Overton, and at the end of the century became very popular in sociology, politics, and increasingly so in popular culture. So the basic idea is that what is acceptable now is different from what was acceptable in the past, and that extreme ideas beyond the bounds of current reasonable public perception will not be accepted. At one time, for example, gladiators, breads and circuses, those games would have been normal and acceptable to Roman citizens, but in our current time, this would be socially and politically, would be anathema, right? So think about that the next time you hear about a drag queen reading to your children at the public library. And while change is inevitable, and one can't even hope to prevent the development of or evolution of humanity, it is perhaps wise to question the current direction we are taking. And so rather than using technology, because I believe that an over-reliance on technology is probably not really as beneficial as we'd like to think. So these old-time ways of trying to find future events or to look into the future using tulpas, I mean, this is something that I think is far more interesting. So as a result of going back and doing old school stuff, we're learning things, new things. And it may strike people as being a little bit evil, I guess. I don't know, but it's not contacting spirits. That's not what we're here to do. Because I think that's mentally lazy. And a lot of mental laziness has crept in due to the replacement of thought with our technological aids. Today we see the possibility of a multitude of tasks being undertaken by machines. They say, oh, it's labor-saving exercise. No, it just means more work on everyone. In the space of 70 years, we have electrified our existence. We're making everyday tasks a little bit easier, and we're being told by these nations that all we need to do is just let them take over, and we won't have to care about anything else. Can we conclude that we're going to be trapped by our own devices in the future? That we'll lose control of our money because, well, you know, they want it. They want your soul. They want everything else. And yet what we're doing, what I want to do tonight, some people look down upon. When everybody's sold their souls to these governments, everyone's sold their souls to politics, everyone's sold their souls to something. A harmless tulpa speaking through a board is something that really, it baffles me that people have a hard time with it. So, I'm going to ask you to, you know, put all of those fears behind you. I'm going to ask you to have an open mind tonight. I want to welcome our guests tonight. First of all, I want to welcome medium, and, well, she's a medium, she's a psychic, and she's also going to be our scribe tonight, Sherry Pang. Are you there, Sherry? Hold on a second. Let's do another microphone here. Here, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, Clyde.
Hi.
Yay,
okay.
There you go.
So this is your first time, right, to do anything like this?
Yes, my first time.
You a little nervous?
No, not really.
Oh, good.
No, not at all, really.
All right, good, because I was
Okay.
kind of worried that maybe, you know, you get a little nervous about doing this. And, of course, last year, We had Trisha Griffith with us. She's here again tonight. Hey, Trisha.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I guess we're gonna do this pretty soon. There are some things though that we'll have to go over again that we were talking about earlier in the show. First of all, we do a little bit of bibliomancy before we start, and Sherry and I actually were going through what we call scripture bibliomancy, where we find a scripture, we open the Bible, we take a scripture at random, and we look at it, and we see what it's about. And so this random Bible verse came up tonight, Matthew 5, chapter 8, the King James Version, says, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." So, and I thought that was an amazing scripture because of what we're setting out to do tonight, and that is to try and find out the human condition from Dr. Heldor, who says that he's a practitioner of the human condition. Now, you remember the last time you were here, some of the things that Dr. Heldor said. You remember some of them?
I do. It was pretty interesting and amazing.
Yeah, accurate, right?
Yes, scary. No.
It was scary because he was so accurate. I just remember he said last year, he said, watch your P's and Q's.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And we determined is watch your popes and queens and your presidents. Awaiting what the other P's are going to happen. The P's like the president, the pope. So, I mean, he speaks in metaphor, as you have to figure out what he has to say. So, Sherry, you're in for a treat tonight. So is the audience this week. Go back to the board and talk to Dr. Heldor tonight on Ground Zero, 503-225-0860. If you remember any of the accurate predictions of Dr. Heldor, we'd love to hear from you. 503-225-0860. Back with more. Keep it here on Ground Zero.